Hey everyone, and welcome to this video where we look at all things new on the automated people mover line here on Tiger Railfan. Before we get started with the construction, let's take a quick look at the route we're following today. We're going to be starting within the LAX terminals at the Terminal East station, which is also denoted by the letter C on the map. We'll then be heading further into the LAX terminals, ending with the LAX Terminal West station before heading back out towards the LAX Metro Transit Center and the other stations that are outside of the LAX terminal area. But with that, let's go ahead and get started with our first stop along the line, which will be here at the Terminal East station, which will serve terminals 1, 7, and 8. Here's a map looking at how each terminal is served by each station, with the yellow boxes signifying each of the terminals and the orange boxes signifying each of the terminal stations. But now let's actually get started with the construction update for today. Looking at the station, it unfortunately does look pretty similar to last episode, where there is still a lot of those tiles missing in the roof, but I can definitely see some construction workers inside there working on something in the roof. So it is a really great sign to see that there are actually people working here. Because if you've watched the previous construction updates, there really haven't been many people that we've seen throughout the videos. It is worth noting that some progress is made. However, a lot of this was from last month's construction update, where we can see a lot of the signage has been complete and each of the stations have been labeled by a letter, which will go from A through F. Here's another look at them working on something. It looks like it's actually the information TV screens that they're working on over there. And it makes sense since I haven't seen them on yet at this particular station, but in the next ones you'll see that they are in working condition pretty much. But let's go ahead and take a look at the bridge connection that'll connect the APM Skylink station to the terminals. This bridge in particular will connect both terminals 1, 7, and 8. So this one bridge is going to connect all of those terminals. And what's nice about that is you can walk between it in order to have a faster connection in the event that you're heading from terminal 1 to 7 or 8. They also have a little platform underneath it, which is pretty interesting to see, which is pretty new and awesome to see. But there aren't any construction workers currently here, but this signifies that they're working on the tiles, which are underneath the bridge. And we'll get a better view at that in the next clip, so make sure to stay tuned. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the state of the elevators over here and the general connection to the terminal. Now, there is actually no direct connection to the Terminal 1 here, but this is actually built ahead of Terminal 0's opening. If you haven't known, there are 2 new terminal projects that are scheduled to start construction relatively soon, and that is Terminal 0 and 9. This also presents us with a nice close-up look at the connecting bridges, which are actually not fully enclosed if you've seen from previous episodes. They are open air, which I definitely don't like, especially in the hot summer months. And almost all modern airports, even in Southern California, have indoor walkways that connect the parking lots to the terminals. But now let's go ahead and get a look at the state of the elevators. They are mostly complete from last episode, but you can look over and see that it is pretty much done, which is pretty awesome to see. So I can't wait to see when these start operation. There is still a little work table right there, but I imagine that's for something not directly related to the elevators. So it definitely won't be long until these construction walls right here are taken down. And now about that missed connection to Terminal 1, you are able to exit at the other side of the station and take a different bridge, or you can exit here and walk down to the arrivals level in the parking structure, and then you can cross the street from there and enter the terminal, although that's definitely a more around the way route. And now looking over here, we can get a look at the LAX facility, which is currently where you can go for rideshares, taxis, and even some select shuttles. Eventually though, that facility will be demolished and the new Terminal 0 will eventually take its place. However, it'll definitely be at least a decade before that does happen. But looking to our right, we are able to see that direct connection that new bridge will provide. So even though the project has been really delayed, I'm still grateful that they are future planning, and it shouldn't be that difficult to make a quick bridge across to the new terminal. But of course that bridge can be built while Terminal 0 is being built, so it should open together if everything goes well. You may be asking as well, why can't we use this bridge right here? But this one actually does not go into Terminal 1. It actually serves as an emergency exit for the most part, as if you zoom in and look closely, we can see that the staircase is actually outside the terminal and it's all completely walled off. So we are unable to use this, but later in this episode, we'll see one of the bridges like that we can use, which goes between Terminal 5 and the parking structure there. So let's go ahead and head towards the next stop along the line, the LAX Terminal Center Station, or it's denoted by letter B on that map that we saw earlier, right here. So let's go ahead and take a look. Before we get there, on the way here, we can see underneath that bridge where there are those pieces of tiles missing, and that's probably what they were working on, where we saw that temporary like bridge that was located underneath it. That was for construction workers. We can also see though that a significant part of the roof inside the bridge is missing, which is pretty interesting and not good to see, especially with it opening in January of 2026. So at this point, I would hope they were a little closer to finishing, but they are. And it was supposed to open with the LAX Metro Transit Center, but there's been delays due to contract negotiations. If you want more on that, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But here we can see the Terminal Center Station. Now the parking lot up here is actually closed, so we're unable to get too close of a view, but you can see in general that it's in a pretty similar state as the first station. There is emergency lighting on, which we have verified in previous episodes means that the electricity has been working for most of the parts of the station, and a lot of the station signage, at least that we can see from here, has been put in place. And in the distance right here is Terminals 2 and 3. This is the station that will serve those terminals on this side. On the other side, you can take that bridge to Terminal 6. The bridge on the left is going to connect to Terminal 3, and the bridge on the right is going to connect to Terminal 2. It is worth noting that you can't really get between terminals unless you walk between them directly after going through the bridge, so it is worth noting planning ahead to make sure you know what terminal your flight departs at, so you know what stop to get off at. Now before we head to the next station, the Terminal West Station, we're going to head in between to one of the parking structures that goes in between those two stations to get a better look at the bridge connection. We're currently looking at the LAX Central Terminal Station, and just to our right hand side is the LAX Terminal West Station, which will serve the LAX Tom Bradley International Terminal. A little more about that in a later part of this episode. But here we can see that connection between the Terminal Central Station and the Terminal 3, which serves Delta. Looking at this map really quick, we can see that this does not connect back towards Terminal 5. Instead, the walkway that is on the other side of the station, which goes to Terminal 2, will also connect to Terminal 5, which is also notable if you're trying to get between an example of terminals like Terminals 5 and 3, where you'd have to go to Terminal 2 and walk over just a bit. But turning to our right-hand side, we can see the LAX West Terminal Station, which serves the International Terminal and Terminal 4. It's also worth noting that this bridge also connects to Terminal 3, just on its other side, but I would highly recommend you use the Central Terminal Station to access Terminal 3 as it's a little bit quicker. I know this is a lot of information about the airport terminals and their connections, but hopefully there's going to be really good signage at the stations, and feel free to rewind at any part of the video to hear any of the terminal connections that I've mentioned today so far. Now, typically we go inside Terminal 3 and take a look at the connecting portion between the terminal and the bridge, but it's been the same for the past previous episodes, so we're going to go ahead and head towards the Terminal West Station now. We'll still get a look inside at that station where we can see some new insights into the International Terminal and its connection to the bridge and the Automated People Mover Station. And one more time, the bridge on the left and the bridge on the right both connect to Terminal 3. Delta has an interesting configuration of a terminal here where there is a TSA entrance on either side of the terminal at those bridge areas. So either way will both get you into Terminal 3. And with that, let's now finally head towards the Terminal West Station, which is going to be located just to our far right. Let's go ahead and take a look. Welcome to parking structure P3, where we're on the top level today to take a look at the Terminal West Station, which is going to serve the Tom Bradley International Terminal as well as Terminal 4. Let's go ahead and take a look at the station and see what changes, if any, have been made since last month. In the distance, you can see where we just were which is closer to the Terminal Central station. First, let's go ahead and take a look at the elevators and see if they're in similar progress as the other stations that we've looked at so far. I presume the elevators are at a similar state of construction as well, so let's go ahead and take a brief quick look here at the ones here at the LAX Terminal West station to see how they're doing so far. And with a quick zoom in, it seems like not much is happening, but they do have a ladder there, so it's possible some work was being done on the electrical components of the elevators, but it is pretty much finished. Now looking at the station, there is actually some notable progress here in terms of the tiling on the roof. There is a lot more parts that are filled in now. If you remember previous episodes in the series, you may recall that the roofs really looked like Swiss cheese because of how many tiles were missing and they were open, probably because they didn't have the parts necessary to complete it. But now it looks like some of those parts are slowly coming in, and hopefully we'll see that show up at other stations. So that'll be what we'll look at for next month in July, when we can see how many of those tiles are missing in the roof. But I'm still happy to report that the interior lights, including under the roof of the station, are on during the day, so they're probably still testing it, and it's great to see that all of the electrical systems that work with those lights are currently working. In the distance, you're also able to see the Tom Bradley International Terminal. We're going to be heading inside here shortly to take a look at what's new with the connection to the station. And trust me, there is actually some new stuff there. So that is refreshing to see, especially on a slow-moving project like this one, where we haven't seen too much progress. So before we head down to that area, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the state of the traffic here. In previous episodes, you may have noticed that there really wasn't too much traffic, but it is pretty similar in terms of vehicle traffic, but boy, there are a lot of people waiting here. So a new project like the LAX Automated People Mover and the new bus connections are going to help a ton. This also provides us a good look at the front of the station here, which I believe has a TV screen inside that will display information such as the LA Olympics, which is supposed to come in 2028. Here's an image of some rendering art of what that would look like, of this part of the station displaying a welcome to the 2028 Olympics. And not gonna lie, this is a cool welcome for all travelers coming to Los Angeles for the Olympics. And hopefully they're gonna have a smooth ride with the Automated People Mover and LA Metro to reach sites across Los Angeles. With that, let's go ahead inside the Tom Bradley International Terminal, the largest out of all of the LAX terminals, to take a look at what's changed from the inside. So let's go ahead and take a look. But first, let's take a quick moment to look at the sheer scale of this place. Opened in 1984 and dedicated to Mayor Tom Bradley, this terminal was built to handle an influx of travelers that were going to be coming during the 1984 Summer Olympics. But now we're up on the 3rd floor, which you can reach by several elevators or stairs. And we can see here, this is where the bridge from the station will drop you off at. And there's the front of the APM station we were just looking at from downstairs. That is definitely a screen that they can use to display new information and, of course, advertise things like the LA Olympics. And if you look to your right, there's actually a pretty great view of the terminal itself. You can see the security checkpoint all the way across the way, but we're here to look at the entrance here, which actually looks natural. The ceiling here raises a little bit, and there is a bust of Tom Bradley, whom the terminal is dedicated to. And this is the first time we've seen some noticeable changes within the inside of the terminal. Beforehand, we would just have a plain white wall here, but now there are tarps that go above the walls, which are likely covering the bridge connection to this station. The station entrance is also located conveniently right next to the mobility assistance area, which is just to our left. We'll get a chance to look at that in just a second, but here's a better view of the terminal itself. You can see the check-in is on the lower level. The security is directly across the way. So if you already checked in online and you don't need to drop off any luggage, there's a pathway just to the right that you can take without going down to the lower level. But there are also plenty elevators and escalators to head downwards. You can see 4 just ahead, and there are another set of 4 elevators on the other side. There's also a set of escalators on either side to help deal with the influx of travelers with the APM Skylink line, with pretty much everything except security being down. Just ahead, you can see that mobility assistance area, which is used for people who need some assistance going through the terminal. And as I'm sure all of you know, this airport can get super busy and it is massive. It has a huge footprint. But now we're gonna head down the escalators, heading to the arrivals, baggage claim, and check-in area to show you what it's like. Just off to the right here, we're able to see the departures level for LAX. This is where passengers being dropped off by car will end up at. But as you can see, it can be quite congested, so the APM Skylink line is going to be a great alternative. Anyways, check-in was just out to the right-hand side, so you'd only go down that one set of escalators, and you'd continue going down for arrivals. But now here's a little bonus clip we have here. We're currently at parking level P4, which is located in between the LAX Terminal West station and the Central station. This is also unique in a sense that it actually does have a bridge connection already to Terminal 5. Unfortunately, this bridge will not connect to any Skylink station, but it is convenient for those who are parking here at Terminal 5. In the distance, you can see that Central station, and remember how I was talking about the bridges going all the way across to the other side? Here is the other half of that bridge, which drops you off at Terminal 6, making it possible to walk between Terminal 2 and 6 seamlessly, without interacting with any sort of traffic down below at the Horseshoe. So let's go ahead and walk through this bridge to take a look at the convenience that these bridges will offer. It's a similar system to this bridge here. In a sense, there is no air conditioning and that it's open for fresh air to come in the bridge. Anyways, let's go ahead and enter the Terminal 5 area, which is actually really conveniently located because it drops you off right here at security. So if you are already checked in and you don't have any luggage to drop off, you're able to go straight in here through security. And I'm also happy to report that there is literally no line for security here, which is amazing to see. It does get really busy during peak times, so definitely remember to get here early. Anyways, if you make your way to the left and to the right now downwards, we're able to head down to the check-in level and the arrivals level. So that was a really seamless walk, only about a minute or two from the parking structure to the check-in area. This would be similar for the APM stations, which is really convenient and much easier than finding a place to park or messing with the traffic getting dropped off by a friend. It's also worth noting that the escalators to continue down are located just below the escalators that we were just on, so remember to look behind you if you don't know where the escalators are to keep going down. You can always use the elevators as well. But now let's go ahead and check out some of the stations outside of LAX. Let's start with the LAX Metro Transit Center, which actually opened on June 6, 2025 of this year filming, which has been an amazing, awesome, and great thing for LA Metro and the entire LA region, since there is now a pretty seamless connection to the LAX Airport from Metro, which will only be made easier with the opening of this APM Skylink line. And if you haven't seen any videos on the Metro Transit Center yet, I've also been doing monthly construction videos and a live stream of its opening, which I highly recommend you check out. We can see some of those vehicles testing right here as well. It is worth noting though that this clip was filmed just before the LAX Metro Transit Center opened on June 2nd. So there is still some construction present at the station and it's not quite open, but it's nearly there. But here's what we're here for. The APM Skylink part of the station, located just ahead and above us. It's going to provide a seamless connection to LAX from the Metro C and K lines. And there is a really short walk between the two, which you can see during the live stream I took on Friday, June 6th. But of course, construction doesn't stop there. There's new things coming just on the right side here, which is going to be a new shuttle pickup and drop-off area, as well as a pickup and drop-off area for those who are driving. So you're able to drop off here at the Skylink station instead of in the Horseshoe at LAX. It's also worth noting that some of that space will be used as overflow parking for the consolidated rental car facility located just shortly to the right. But here's a better look at that LAX Metro Transit Center, which was so amazing to check out. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this. It also lets me know what you like seeing. Do you like seeing more of these construction updates or more rail compilation videos? Also, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But let's get back to the video. Right here, you can see those escalators that head up into the APM station. There's also an entrance and exit on either side, which is very convenient for those using hotel shuttles and who got dropped off or are getting picked up here. But regardless, this is going to be such a great connection to LAX once this APM Skylink line opens. So with that, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Have a great rest of your day or night.